Stop. And then they say police brutality. Arrested.
Stop. Oh, he is beating her up, yo.
Gosh, why?
Is that a cop? No, he's just holding her down. He can't. I'm watching this.
The talk show, one powerful hour of truth in a day of falsehood. I'm your host, Brother Daryl Muhammad.
And I'm Sister Deborah Muhammad. Welcome.
And we are so happy that you have tuned in to tonight's program. And of course, we always try to heighten the level of discussion here in the South Louisiana area. And of course, we are coming live on Ustream to make sure that we provide a heightened level of discussion to everybody on the World Wide Web. We also want to talk about the journey to freedom is going to be our topic. And of course, we wanted to mention to you that these acts of brutality continue to persist in the year 2014. We do realize that we have the first black president in the White House, but things have not changed at the house that we live in as a result of that. So we have to look at this thing and understand that Brother Eric Holder has not been aggressive in the enforcement of civil rights laws. He has not been aggressive in taking these brutal police officers to task for those things that they do to our people each and every day. I want to also mention Ramadan Mubarak to the Muslims who are enjoying this wonderful fast in the month of Ramadan. Of course, we are about 22 days into the month of Ramadan, into the fast that was ordered by God in the Holy Quran. And of course, I just want to send that special shout out to those wonderful Muslims around the world that are engaged in the process of renewal and of course developing our discipline, controlling ourselves, and putting ourselves under the control of God. And of course, Sister Deborah, we of course yet have another tragedy. Last time we were on the program, we had a wonderful pastor by the name of Victor White Sr., whose son had been murdered by police in a police cover-up in New Iberia. And of course now we're going to be showing in just a few moments some shocking video where the police in New York just choked a black man to death, really for no reason at all. Sister Deborah?
Right. You know, when you look at such brutality of those who the taxpayers support, it's just inconceivable that in 2012 that we are in the it's a worse condition than the overseers were when we were in slavery, because at least then we understood the institution of slavery. Now we don't understand it, but we have the same brutality that is occurring. I mean, it's almost like when the NAACP and the Crisis magazine would write down how many lynchings that would take place within, you know, that period of time between edition to edition. It's now we're having our black men and black women killed and brutalized by the police who the taxpayers pay, you know, and pay their salaries and take care of their families. And we have this relationship that's, you know, just like the same thing with the overseer and the slave. It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable, Sister Deborah. And of course, we're going to be showing some video that was some amateur video that was shot by a bystander who was looking at the murder that occurred, that was done by police in New York City. And of course, this brother Eric Garner, was a 43-year-old father of 6 children who was married. So a lot of times when they talk about us doing the right thing, sticking in there with our families, being responsible, here was a married man with 6 children that was still murdered by police. And interestingly enough, we just have to see whether or not the law that we're all supposed to be governed by, whether or not the Obama administration in its very non-aggressive and almost passive posture to the brutalization of black people. We just have to call it like we see it. I know that the Republicans are saying no to everything Barack Obama proposes, but Barack Obama has been saying no to everything that the activist community has proposed, which is justice. And we just have to call it like we see it. We have a little more than 2 years left of the Obama administration, and if you're a homosexual, he's spoken out for you. But if you're not a homosexual and you're a black man, Obama has really not done much in the way of making things better for you in your life as a black man. Now, he's looked out for a lot of other people, but he has not looked out for the group that he himself has come out of, which is the black group. We're going to go ahead and roll.
Well, before you roll the clip, I just want to make mention that with the brother that got choked, that they alleged that he actually died of a heart attack at the hospital as a result of the brutality that had occurred.
Probably a lie.
Probably a lie.
Probably a lie.
But now this, you're talking about a life. Now, allegedly, he said that it was alleged that he was selling illegal cigarettes. Now, you think about that. A cigarette.
That is stupid for them to even say that.
And a life. We're not talking about, a murder.
That is stupid for them to even say that.
We're not talking about an armed robbery. You understand what I'm saying? So that tells you just how much a black human's life is worth. Cigarettes.
Absolutely. And of course, I post a lot of things on my Facebook page. For those who may be out there, Daryl Muhammad, you can go to my Facebook page and see a lot of conscious posts where we deal with, there's a 17-year-old who shot a police dog and a retired police dog and killed the dog, and he's going to be doing 23 years in prison. The 17-year-old will not get out of prison, according to the authorities, until he's 40 years old. He shot a dog. These officers has killed a married man, a human being. Let's see what happens. But
not only that, if it were a lion or something that escaped from the zoo, they would what? Tranquilize it. I mean.
Absolutely. And let me just say this. There's a truck stop in Grosse Tete, Louisiana.
That's right.
That had a tiger behind bars.
That's right.
It was a tiger. And this man has gone through lawsuit after lawsuit because white folks have said it is too cruel just to sit that tiger behind bars for years and years and years like that. It's cruel to that tiger. And this man has had to go to court over and over again to keep a tiger at Tiger Truck Stop in a cage. But a million of us or more are in cages around America,
right? Mostly
for nonviolent offenses, and there are no white folks suing over and over and over again. But a tiger, an animal, is worth more to white folks, and sometimes even worth more to us, than the life of us. And that's something we have to look at, that we have not come to terms with. In America, we continue to want to kiss white folk in the behind. We continue to want to butter up with them, and we are very, very disunited and don't want to unify with one another. Let's go ahead and roll this very troubling footage, but nonetheless, we have to roll it.
Two police officers are now on desk duty following the death of a Staten Island man. They put him in what appears to be a chokehold.
Bystanders captured the arrest on video, and Mayor de Blasio postponed his overseas vacation to focus on the incident. CBS 2's Janelle Burrell is in Harlem, where a rally with the victim's family is planned for later today. Janelle?
Diane, the family of Eric Garner described him as a gentle giant, and they were distraught watching him die in that cell phone video. So later here this morning in Harlem, along with Al Sharpton, they will be demanding a full investigation, which the mayor and the police commissioner are promising.
what? Every time you see me, you want to mess with me.
These final moments of Eric Garner's life captured on cell phone video that even Mayor de Blasio is calling troubling.
A terrible tragedy that no family should have to experience.
The 43-year-old married father of 6 trying to walk away from police who had stopped him on the Staten Island sidewalk Thursday for allegedly selling illegal, untaxed cigarettes.
Don't touch me, please. Don't touch me.
After telling the officers to leave him alone, they put Garner in a chokehold, pinning him to the ground where Garner, who was asthmatic, is heard telling the cops he's in trouble.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
He then becomes unconscious. Soon after, he is dead. This woman says she saw the entire confrontation unfold.
He didn't deserve it. He really did not deserve to go like that.
The chokeholds are, in fact, prohibited by the New York City Police Department because of the concerns of potential death arising from them.
The case is now the center of a criminal investigation and an internal NYPD probe. But his wife, too distraught to speak, thinks it's no excuse for the way Garner was treated. Their family left to care for their 6 kids, now without their father.
I'm just numb, you know, just very, very numb about it.
It gives us a little relief that they're going to investigate and do something about this. They're going to investigate, and that's good.
Commissioner Bratton says in the wake of this incident, he may order that all officers be retrained. As for Garner's family, after their appearance here in Harlem this morning, they will head back to Staten Island, where they will rally with community leaders later this afternoon. For now, we are live in Harlem. Janelle Burrell, CBS 2 News.
Janelle, thank you.
You play your hard way for what? Every time you see me, you want to mess with me. I'm tired of it. It stops today.
This guy right here is forcibly trying to lock somebody up for breaking up a fight.
Everybody standing here, they told you I didn't do nothing. I did not sell nothing. Because every time you see me, you want to harass me, you want to stop me, you want to sell cigarettes. I'm minding my business, officer. I'm minding my business. Please just leave me alone. I told you the last time, please just leave me alone. Please, don't touch me. Don't touch me, please.
Hold on.
Listen, don't touch me, please. Do not touch me.
Put your hand behind your back.
I can't breathe. 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 I can't breathe.
Once again, police beating up on people. Back up right here.
Back up, then get on that step.
Okay.
Back up.
All he did was break up a fight. And this is what happens for breaking up a fight. This shit is crazy.
Everybody back up, back up.
He can't breathe. Look, now, man, they gave this man a seizure.
Yo, move out the way. Yo.
It's my brother. We live here.
Back up this way. Everybody now, back up. It's now going to become a crisis. Back it up. Back it up.
I'm going in my house.
No. This way. Let's go.
Can't go in my
In the house or that way?
All right, I'll go that way.
Pick a choice.
Let me get my
Let's
bike.
Go. You had your chance to get your bike, sir. Staying over there right now. We haven't seen you.
He's just breaking up a fight. It's all right. He's doing nothing to do with the fight. It has something to do with something else.
There you have it, a very troubling video of a man being murdered by police, and as the narrator, which you know, they call it an amateur video, but we would say that the young man did a very professional job and did a wonderful service to the community by providing this information to the community at large and having the courage to continue to film. A lot of police officers have broken up people's cameras, brutalized them, broken their cell phones into pieces when they film brutality. So we are very grateful to God that this footage was able to actually get out where everybody could look at it, because had it not gotten out, the officers would have done what they usually do, which is lie about what happened. And because we're able to see the person intelligently explain themselves and plead with these racist bastards just to leave them alone, now we are able to see exactly what has happened, what's going on, and so there's no way for them to lie. Now, whenever they say that there's an internal investigation, what they often mean is that there is a waiting period so they could get the lie together to cover it up. And the thing that we want to know as black people who are conscious and who love ourselves as black people, we want to know, what, if anything, is going to be done at the federal level. Because this underscores a point that we want to make in this program, that the journey to freedom does presuppose that we go in the direction of freedom. And our thesis or premise on this program is going to be that we have not gone in the right direction, the direction toward true freedom. We have actually gone into a more secure slavery than we were in the time of slavery, because we have gone into a situation where mentally many of us are willing to be loyal to the slave master no matter how brutal that slave master is, and that is a sign of a slave mind. Sister Deborah?
Well, Brother Daryl, I'm really angry. I'm angry at seeing the brutality that is going on and on again in our communities. I'm angry because, in Islam we say that the unseen is greater than the seen. And so this is just something that we've seen of the police brutality that goes on in our community. But what we don't see, what goes unchecked, is greater. And for us in 2014 to still be looking towards people that would treat us like this, to give us justice, looking for people like this to legislate to laws that would give us justice. It's insanity. As they say, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Absolutely.
The only thing that we could do to alleviate ourselves of the burden of white supremacy and racism like this is to separate from the oppressors. There is no other solution, and there's no need of spending another day looking for one. Separation is the only solution to our problem.
Absolutely. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with the Community Defender.
Yes, good evening, Brother Daryl and Sister Deborah.
Yeah, and I guess you can understand why we are not integrationists.
Are y'all
Go ahead,
listening?
sir. Yes, sir. Can you?
Yes. Again, good evening.
Yes, sir.
And I totally concur what you said earlier, Brother Daryl and Sister Deborah, about President Obama. He's an African American president, and he has an African American attorney general, but they have done nothing to address the injustices in the African American community on a federal level.
No.
He advocates for same-sex marriage and homosexual rights, but he has not done anything as it relates to the African American community in this country. And both times he ran, he got 90% of the African American vote. I don't know what's wrong with this man. Where is his head? He's a very articulate, intellectual person, but he has not done anything tangible to enhance the African Americans' rights in this country as it relates to the injustices in our community by the police department. And again, brother, I enjoy your show. I look forward to your show. And Sister Deborah, you also, I look forward to seeing you, Brother Daryl.
Thank you, sir. We definitely appreciate the vote of confidence. Now, you had, we were talking, before about this topic, Journey to Freedom, which was, of course, inspired really by one of the issues of the final call. Let's go ahead and take this call right quick. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with the Community Defender.
Good evening, Sister Deborah, and good evening, Brother Daryl. Great show. Listen, this video, this piece is so troubling, Brother Daryl. And that would awaken a whole lot of people. It takes it to another level, never seen before. And look, I read the whole transcript, and I advise everyone to get hold of the transcript of what happened from the different news publications in and around New York. And one of the troubling aspects of it, how the medic, when he arrived on scene, and he was actually in collusion with law enforcement, actually pretended to be talking to Mr. Gardner while he lay dying or probably dead already on the ground and saying, "You all right?" And his eyes was already open. He had stopped breathing, but he was basically dead. And out of let, he pretended to be talking to him and saying, he's okay. And that's the problem. The outrageous situation that went on with all the people in and around there. And they said, actually, listening to a couple of other talk shows in New York, that they had African-American officers who were in the background who did nothing. And I wish these officers, even though they're black, would stand up and say, hey, we're not going to tolerate that. But listen, Brother Daryl, we have to have a new movement enough. We're tired of asking for law enforcement to be fired. We want them punished. Well, we don't want to be settling for money that's already written up in risk management and benevolent societies that already have the money set aside for lawsuits and so forth. We want some action on this thing, and that's the problem. Nobody's action, the state legislators, the feds, to say, hey, look, we need to put some kind of laws on the books. And you're a law enforcement officer, you will not get protected if you do engage in those type of activity. We need to take it to a new level, and we sick and tired of these politicians who make these laws, who let law enforcement operate. Because you know what? They're just as blamed as these law enforcement. Your local legislator, if he's not pushing police brutality reformation, if your a federal representative not doing that, well, he's not doing anything. Mary Landrieu, your local state representative, they're not pushing laws to help you with all of these killings, so many killings. Something's wrong with that picture, Brother Daryl. And I'm like you. I'm sick and tired of all of this situation. That's my comment. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, sir. And we definitely appreciate your spirit of liberation that you called in with. You know, I want to underscore this point that the presence of Barack Obama in the White House has not stopped any of this. And I know we were all very jubilant at his election. There was the fourth largest gathering on the Mall in Washington occurred at his inauguration. Mm-hmm. So many people were very hopeful of that change that he talked about would actually be implemented. Mm-hmm. But that change has not come. And one of the things that Minister Farrakhan has said is that we will never be treated fairly in the system that exists today, called the United States of America. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, for as long as you live with white people, you will live under white people. That's right. And since we cannot live to the potential that God has given us by living under people who crush us and crush our potential, the only thing that the responsible thing to do is to look at a reparations package that involves sovereignty of land.
That's right.
It's time for us to stop saying, I'm an American like everybody else. You're not an American.
That's right.
Even if somebody calls you an American,
That's
you're
right.
not an American. And just because you called a bald eagle a duck doesn't make that bald eagle a duck. So calling us Americans with none of the attributes and rights of an American doesn't make us that. And to be quite honest with you, there is no integration story in the Bible. For those of you who are integrationist Christians, every time there was a slave master and a slave in your Bible and in your Quran, if you're Muslim, God always separated the slave and the slave master to give the slave an equal chance for survival. Integration does not work. It has not worked. And really, to be honest with you, if you're a person that's, say, married to a white person or got a white girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it is, your relationship with that individual does not reflect the overall collective relationship of 46 million black people that we have with this system.
That's right.
And you cannot be blinded because somebody is fallacious with you.
Come on.
And try to blind the rest of us because you got a white person in your bed. Okay? Thomas Jefferson, who owned slaves, had a black woman in his bed.
Come on.
But that did not mean that he was for the freedom, justice, and equality of black people. They have been having sex with us ever since they kidnapped, captured, and brought us over here. That means nothing. So the thing we have to do is understand that if we're going to journey to freedom, we have to go in the direction of freedom, and integration is not that direction. Sitting in and begging them to put you on their network is not the direction of freedom. Now, founding your own network and funding and supporting your own black media is moving in that direction, supporting your own black business. And let me just tell you, a brother today gave a wonderful explanation for black economics. He said it's real simple. Support your brother before you support another.
That's right.
You know, that's where we have to start. And Dr. Martin Luther King, even though we have the I Have a Dream speech, he evolved past an integrationist philosophy and told us that we have to support black business and build black institutions. And then he said that a temporary separation was going to be necessary for our rehabilitation. So he understood that we had to separate ourselves from the source of our infection, mental, spiritual, and otherwise. Okay, so that's what we have to deal with. We're on a journey to freedom, but it's taken too damn long because we are oftentimes going in the wrong direction. The direction of the slave master is not freedom. Sitting down at a lunch counter and eating at his restaurant was not the direction of freedom. No, working to have a public accommodations bill where we all could stay in the same hotel that was owned by white folks, that was not the direction of freedom. The direction of freedom is getting your own. And the bottom line of it is that some of you who are more comfortable, who are apologists for the system because you are comfortable in the system, because you make a little money, because you have a few benefits, the majority of us are not comfortable. And those of us who have any kind of spiritual consciousness are not comfortable as long as the condition of black people remains as it is. I don't care if you drive a Bentley. If you are comfortable with more than 1 million of your people being in jail right now, just the black males, and some 12 million branded as felons and legally and lawfully discriminated against for life, then you are in fact not even spiritually conscious if you're comfortable in that situation or with that situation or looking at that situation. The bottom line of it is that on our journey to freedom, we got to have the right directions for our journey. Otherwise, we will not arrive at the destination of freedom. And let me tell you, excuse me, it does not involve holding hands with the white man. It does not involve cheek to cheek and hugging white folks. It involves us embracing one another so we can get to the other side. Sister Deborah?
Absolutely. Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches about the father of the white race, and that the father of the white race taught the white people how to use tricks and lies to master the original people. And Barack Obama is just another trick of the enemy. And so he was selected to be president of the United States, and of course we elected him from those who were selected. And so what he sits before us as is just a figurehead. He's just a talking head. He has really wields no power. He only does the bidding of his master.
And when you look at him speaking for Israel and saying that Israel has a right to defend itself, and understanding that his main advisor is a Jewish guy named Axelrod, understanding that one of the two appointees was another Jew. The bottom line of it is that AIPAC and the Jewish lobby have Barack Obama sewed up to where Barack Obama is signing bills for aid to an anti-black state of Israel. You have black preachers that are preaching for Israel, saying that Israel is backed by God. No, Israel is a satanic state that is racist and anti-black. Netanyahu, in his mind and heart, is worse and more dirty, more filthy than even Hitler was.
He's a Satan.
People do not understand that these anti-black, anti-human individuals that have been over Israel are the same people that advocated the war in Iraq, the same people that pushed for the bombing of Cambodia and the invasion of Vietnam. At every stage of the game, there was some Zionist Jew always driving that policy of war and destruction and racism. And I'm going to say this, that Barack Obama, as much as I always love my people, I love my brother, but my brother has been taken over by the satanic mind. He has bombed Africa. He has aided France in giving them the coordinates where the freedom fighters in Mali were, so that France could come in with their jets and kill black folks. He has bombed and keep in mind that Libya is a 50 or more % black nation. He has maintained the embargo over Cuba, which is 75% black. So there's a lot of anti-black things that Barack Obama has done. And even as he gives aid to Israel, he told Africa, we're no longer just going to give you aid. It's going to be tied to things that you do. In other words, you got to allow, he is opening the way for the re-raping of the African continent with his policy. And most people don't study his policy.
That's right.
Obamacare, good. Everything else, bad. I'm just going to put it out there. Obamacare, good. We give you a check mark on that. We give you a check mark on your statement about Trayvon Martin. But we have to give you an F in terms of your enforcement of the laws that could have saved Trayvon Martin's life.
Right.
We have to give you an F. And the journey to freedom is not the trust in politics. I know that they are trying to push Hillary out there as a possible person. The governor of Massachusetts, a very intelligent brother, as a possible person for the presidency. All of that may occur. That the Jews are working on how they're going to fool us next. But the bottom line of it is that none of this is going to help our people. The thing that's going to help our people is to begin to establish institutions for ourselves, be unified to where we can be organized enough to get justice for ourselves. And it's going to take certain things happening. Okay, to people who do us wrong. It's going to take people literally coming up and maybe missing in order for some of this to stop. You have to organize yourself to the point where if the authorities don't do justice, that you then are organized enough, unified enough to where you can snap your finger and make it happen. I'm going to say this, and then we want you to comment, Sister Deborah, because your comments are always so good on our program. But the NAACP should, kind of like the ADL, should keep a database on all of its enemies. A database on all of its enemies. And the NAACP or other black organizations should have a database on every racist cop, really almost every white cop, a database that would include who their mama is, who their daddy is, where their children go to school. Because you cannot, because this is the kind of database that the government and the police keep on us. It's time for us to be able to keep records on them that they know we keep it on them. And so when the time comes to be able to seek the justice that we need, the enemy will know that they cannot deny the justice because we're organized and willing to deal with justice. And then you'll see the system itself begin to put some of these people away because they know that the alternative, you understand? Because they'll know that the alternative of that is that you'll have an awakened people. Now, if you're comfortable and you have a nice job, you're making good money, all that is good. But the majority of us are not comfortable. And so Jesus said, you know, if you have not done it unto the least of these, my brethren, you have not done it also unto me. So even though you may be a person with many degrees, you may be a person that's making 6 figures, if the system hasn't done it for the least of yours, your brethren, you better have the same standard of Jesus and say you haven't done it unto me. How in the world can somebody who brutalizes black people every day be your friend? And if these black officers stayed in the shadows and punked out and allowed these demons to kill their brother while they watched, then they themselves, like the people who killed him, do not really, and of course God is merciful, but they do not deserve to continue to breathe. And now God may allow them to breathe, but they absolutely don't deserve life itself because they are forsaking the principle of life, which is the main principle is justice. Sister Deborah?
Yes, sir. Well, I would like to say, I know we get passionate about, you know, our feelings about what has happened, the oppression that we're under. And, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talks about the justice that's going to be given to America for her mistreatment of the black people that were brought over here in the holds of ships. And he says that that justice is going to be given by Almighty God, Allah himself, in the form of weather and in the form of earthquakes, hurricanes, all of the natural disasters, sunspots, the heating up of the atmosphere, the cooling down of the temperature. So Allah's justice is going to prevail because he will not be mocked.
That's right.
And so, you know, in terms of what we want, the only reason why Allah is not able to at this time, or has not, I'll say, at this time unleashed his full range of wrath on America is because we're tied up in her. And in the scripture it says, come out of her, my people, and be not partakers of her plagues. And so the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is telling us to come out of her. And you mentioned about the police officers that sit by, the black police officers, and watch this brother, Eric Garner.
And scared to lose their job.
But see, this is the whole thing. You said they sit by and watch their brother be killed. And then, see, that's the whole thing. The black people that are in those positions don't look at us as their brothers. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't have that connection with us because of how we have been, I guess, mentally, what would I say, lobotomized. In terms of we cannot, you know, be able to process information. We can't see them as our brother. I know you probably want to go to the line now, but after you take the call, I want to finish my point.
Let's go ahead and take this call. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, sir. I wanted to say that seeing this type of footage is so hurtful till it's unreal. And I don't see black cops doing this to white civilians. So what's going on when the black cops see all of these cracker pigs, punks, cowards, just low down dogs? We couldn't see the footage with the young lady that was 300-pound police officer just beat her unmercifully. Something is wrong with this. And the only thing I could say, they better thank God that it's other people that they're doing it to, because if they ever touch any one of my family members, it's on. Thank you.
And I will say this, and of course we did open with the footage of the officer grabbing a sister that had just crossed the street, grabbed her, threw her down, and just started beating her. And as a black man, you want the power. If you're a man, if you're not a punk that's willing to accept whatever the white man gives you, and that's really the bottom line with a lot of our educated class, you are comfortable and you're really willing to accept whatever they give you, because in reality you have something in your mind where you love your enemy. You're in an abusive relationship. You know, you're in an abusive relationship, and rather than separating from the one that's brutalizing you, you begin to believe what the brutalizer says about you, which is that if you leave me, nobody else is gonna want you. So a man will tell that to a woman he's beating. Nobody else is gonna want you. You ain't gonna be able to get a better deal. I'm providing for you. So if you leave me, you'll be left with nothing. Right. And that's the way that we as black people collectively feel about white folks. No matter how much they brutalize us, we don't think that God will offer us a better deal than what the white man is giving us. But I submit that as Minister Farrakhan has stated, that God has already offered us a better deal. Come on. We just have to take it. We need to ask for 5 to 10 states to where we live separate from the brutality that we have dealt with. Some of y'all say that's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream to be integrated into America and treated as an equal. That's the pipe dream. Because in 2014, we just showed you how these officers beat men, and now they're brutalizing women, okay, on a regular basis. Now, black men are supposedly handcuffed, Victor White III, and killing themselves, shooting themselves in the back while they're handcuffed. Unbelievable stories, which shows you that they are totally disrespecting you because they're just willing to tell you anything. Tell the nigga he shot himself in the back while he was handcuffed. They just tell a nigga anything. And you go with it. And you advocate integration. The black preacher must advocate the separation that God gave during the time of Moses, the separation that God gave during the time of Daniel. Every time there was a slave master and a slave, he proposed, God himself proposed separation. And it is time for the black preacher to preach that openly, rather than are you going to let them destroy another generation of black males? They've already destroyed 2 generations of black males. Now you're going to sit here because you drive a Cadillac and say, well, let them destroy another generation of black males. Because you work at university, let them destroy another generation of black males. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. And I talked to a preacher recently who was talking about how good America was. I'm like, for who? Because you pastor a large church and you're comfortable, because you got a degree from Morehouse or whatever it is, that we are supposed to ignore the day-to-day trials that black people deal with in America, when you preach out of a Bible that always separated the slave master and the slave, never integrated them one time? We believe that God's wisdom is timeless. And it is time now, and the minister has talked about on the Time and What Must Be Done lecture series, which everybody should be watching on YouTube, of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Right. He's telling you it's time for you to separate. We have enough engineers, enough doctors. We have enough carpenters and welders. We have enough people where we can run our own world. We are the most educated black people on the planet Earth. And it's because we built the country through our free labor that we later got our education from. It's not because of the white man. It's because of our free labor in building a country where education would even be possible. You follow me? So that's what we need to understand and focus on, is ourselves and raising ourselves up. Sister Deborah?
Yes, sir. Reparations is, when we say we ask for their reparations. Now, see, that people may be a little confused about that when we say that we're going to ask for reparations, because then again, you're saying, once again, you're going back to white people and asking them for something that, you should get for yourself. But this is the situation here. Now, white folks are going to give us. We have to put the offer on the table, but they're going to give it to us because of what's going to happen in America is going to be so horrific. And when they realize that what they're going through is directly tied to their mistreatment of black people, they're going to be willing to give it to us. Maybe not.
God is going to force them to give it to us.
They're going to give it to us.
The circumstances are going to force it to give
it. And we're going to go ahead and get this call so we can, but I want to come back to my point again.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with the community defender.
Good evening, Sister Deborah and Brother Daryl.
How you doing?
Hey, look here. You guys are on the journey of freedom, and appreciate you coming on. Every time you come on, you guys are always, as I call it, throwing bricks in the graveyard, because a lot of things that you guys are bringing on to the community defenders, y'all are bringing the truth, the light, and the way, I say we are still fighting for our civil rights as we speak, and you guys are speaking to us, Let me put it to you like this here. Firefighters, policemen, law enforcement, when they sign on to the project of being in law enforcement, they sign on to the thing of saying, if my mama, would be against us, we would turn the weapon towards her, whether it's a fire hose or a gun. We would turn our weapon towards her in order to defend what I'm all about, and that's the uniform that I'm wearing, Mr. Farrakhan is a man that's not under a 501c3. And most of our ministers today is under a 501c3. And if you go back and you get a 501c3 and find out what it's all about, you understand me, you got to talk about, tithing and offering and bringing your money to me so I could take it to the Cadillac dealer or to the Mercedes-Benz dealer on Monday morning along with the bundle of money that I'm bringing to the bank. Thank you guys again for bringing awareness to the community. Those that hear you, fine. Those that's listening, fine. But if you're only listening and not hearing, you have to do both. You have to listen and hear to what you guys are really bringing. And as far as I'm concerned, most of it is factual information. Thank you guys, and y'all stay blessed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now go ahead and make your point, Sister Deborah.
The point is about, you may listen to us and you may think that it's rhetoric, we're just talking, that never really happened, that black folks can't get along, that I don't want to live with black folks, I don't want to live with Negroes, because we're killing each other, we're fighting each other, look at our communities and whatnot. And that's the thing that, many of us may bring to the conversation. And then the question becomes, well, I don't want to be separated with where they're just all black people and no white people and no Asian people and no Mexican people. But this is a separation between the righteous and the wicked. But the question becomes, when you're talking about the righteous and the wicked, there are people who are wicked by nature, and then there are people who are wicked by circumstance. And if you take them from out of a condition that really promotes wickedness and you place them in a place where they're away from that, then what would their natural default mechanism become? It would become righteousness. Put us in the right environment, you'll see it. Now you take people who are wicked by nature, I don't care where you put them on the moon, and they will still manage to oppress or cause somebody some trouble. So when we're talking about the separation of the righteous and the wicked, now you may say, well, there are some good white people. There might be some good white people. But just like in the time of Lot, Lot and Noah, when God comes and makes the agreement, he says, well, tell except Lot and his family, go and find 50 righteous. And when they came back, how many could they find?
Couldn't even find one.
Not one. And you think that the wickedness that is going on today is not worse?
Much worse
than the wickedness that was going on during the time of Noah and Lot?
Come on now.
Now, do you think that you could find one? Now, you got to ask yourself that question today. So we're talking about the separation between the wicked and the righteous.
I'm going to say this. Israel is worried about Jews. Black folks need to worry about black folks. The idea, I know there's some good white people, that is a slave Negro trying to think for and be a lawyer for his slave master.
That's right.
There may be some good ones, but they are not. They didn't stop Trayvon Martin from getting. They not on these. They are not on these juries.
Come on.
They are not in the judge's chamber that is sentencing all of our young men to all of this time in prison. I don't know where they are, but they need to get busy. And if there are a couple of them, that couple does not justify me not seeking unity with my own.
Come on.
Now, they have always said that we are making progress toward justice. If I owe you $20 and I have $20 or the means to pay you what I owe you, we don't have to make progress towards giving you justice.
Right.
I can just simply hand you the $20 and be done with it. So why in the world would we have to make progress towards justice when white folks know that it's not right to stop unarmed people and kill them?
Come on.
Just stop doing it.
That's right.
Why can't you stop doing it? Why can't you give justice when it's so easy for you to do? It's so easy for you to hire somebody who's qualified, right? If they have the requisite degrees, it's easy for you to do that. But why is it hard for the white man in America, the white man in England, the white man in France, the white man in Italy to be fair? Because the nature of them is not a fair nature. So all you have to do, white man, just be just.
Pay what you
If you owe something, just go ahead and pay it. Why can't you pay it when you got the money? Because you really don't want to pay it.
Come on, man.
Because your nature in you is a brutal nature that will not allow you to be just. Jesus says in the 8th chapter of John, verse 37, of those kinds of people, he said, my word has no place in you. Somebody said, well, Jesus is for everybody. No, not according to Jesus. Jesus said, my word has no place in you. Now that's deep. What kind of person was Jesus talking to when he said, my word doesn't even have a place in you? And he was speaking directly what he heard from God.
That's right.
It was an evil-natured person whose very nature would not allow them to practice the righteousness that Jesus was preaching.
Had no good in it.
No good in them at all. And that's what we're dealing with in government. That's what Netanyahu is.
Education.
That's what the people in the cabinet around Obama are. That's what they are in the Senate. That's what John McCain is. He is a bloodthirsty beast that they call a senator.
Come on, come on.
And that's person after person after person after person. Bottom line of it is, if somebody's trying to kill you, get away from them. And white folk, white America, the government of the United States has been trying to kill black people for a long time. That's why tubal ligations are so popular, because they don't want any more Negroes. That's why the IUD has come back with flair, because they don't want any more black people. That is why they are always doing these hysterectomies on black women, because they do not want you to produce your own kind. And now our sperm count is half of what it used to be 25 years ago. Why? Because they don't want you. They don't love you. And you can join their military, okay, if you want to, and go overseas and work on their agenda of brutality, while the agenda that we need to work on in America to uplift our people goes undone. You can do that, but I would not advise it. I would advise you to get with a program that's going to work and not to integrate.
That's right.
But to separate
That's right.
and seek separation and seek unity with your own kind, starting first with supporting black business and black causes. Sister Deborah?
That's right. That's right. When we talk about desegregation and we're talking about separation, those are two different issues.
Things.
And so, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talked about, I'm paraphrasing, but the concept of desegregation is when somebody else segregates you. It's not where you separate and you have your own sovereignty over yourself, your person.
You're physically separate, but you're still under the control of an enemy.
That's right. That's right. And so
whereas separation is you're over here, but you're running everything
that's
over
right.
there. Right.
And that's what the so-called founding fathers of this nation wanted: separation.
Right. And we have 1 minute left.
Okay.
And we just want to say we need to stop beating our head against a brick wall.
Right.
And let's go with a sound program that will uplift our people, and let us continue to study and not be the slave-minded people that we've been. Let's be willing to speak the truth. We come on this program, we show our face, we tell the truth that is not popular at great expense to ourselves and our families. Back those who are courageous enough, like Minister Farrakhan, to tell you the truth. Back the truth teller. How many more minutes do we have? 15 seconds. Sister Deborah?
Well, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a man of character, and he's producing people of character. And so in this day, you need righteous people. You need people of character, morality. And so, you know, what we're saying is that we're offering ourselves as servants to our people. And so we really think that, you know, if we get together and you find someone righteous among you to represent, you know, you to hold your monies, if you want to pull your monies together, you look for the character in leadership. You look for that quality of the heart that would make a good leader, not somebody who's popular, not somebody who's flamboyant. And those are the people that Muhammad is making. And so with that being said, we hope that we can work together in unity so that we can actually, instead of talking about a journey to freedom, we can say that we've made it to the promised land.
Thank you.